Welcome back to Historical Context. Today we continue on with our unit on Jamestown, and today's episode covers the massacre at Jamestown. And we'll start in 1621, where the Jamestown colony continued its population boom and growth. And in October of 1621, King James I made Jamestown and Bermuda the only suppliers of tobacco to England in exchange for a customs fee. This gave the crown new revenue and the colonies a monopoly on tobacco. In November of 1621, George Yeardley's term as governor ended, and it appears to have been a rather successful term. Sir Francis Wyatt is elected the new governor of the colony, and Wyatt was an English nobleman who had arrived in Jamestown just 3 months earlier. So while he doesn't bring a lot of experience in terms of living in the colony, we have to recall that George Yeardley did not either. Wyatt brings with him a governing document considered by historians to be the first constitution in America. The document establishes 4 general courts, known as quarter courts, who had the power to make laws and ordinances, distribute lands, and settle trade matters. Keep in mind that the House of Burgesses still exists, but had only met twice. The second meeting in 1621 being memorialized by a short letter. It is also noted in Captain Smith's writings that a delegation went to meet Chief Opechancanough and that the meeting went well. On March 22nd, 1622, Powhatan natives descended on the various colonies and plantations in a series of unexpected attacks. An unknown colonist wrote about what may have been a possible trigger to this. Let's have a look. In March 1622, the King of England had to remind King Powhatan of the articles of the Treaty of Peace existing between them, in answer to which King Powhatan said that he would prefer seeing the country turned upside down rather than break a single article of the treaty. But as will be proved later on, this conduct of the savages was nothing but hypocrisy and deceit, they only awaiting a favorable opportunity to kill out the English. He continues, on Friday before the day appointed by them for the attack, they visited, entirely unarmed, some of our people in their dwellings, offering to exchange skins, fish, and other things, while our people, entirely ignorant of their plans, received them in a friendly manner. Then the author goes on to describe the massacre itself. Let's take a look at the writing. When the day for the massacre had arrived, a number of the savages visited our people in their dwellings, and while partaking with them of their meal, the savages, at a given signal, drew their weapons and fell upon us, murdering and killing everybody they could, sparing neither women nor children. Simply killing our people did not satisfy their inhuman nature. They dragged the dead bodies all over the country, tearing them limb from limb, and carrying the pieces in triumph around. So the massacre at Jamestown sounds rather horrifying, to say the least. So this unexpected attack was not entirely unexpected by the entire colony. At the heart of Jamestown, a native friendly to the colonists actually disclosed the impending attack, giving colonists time to prepare and defend themselves. So this was crucial in the colony being able to repel the attack. Otherwise, the natives could have destroyed the entire colony. Despite this preparation, approximately 1/3 of Virginia's settlers were killed, an estimated 347 people. Among the dead were George Thorpe, an influential colonist who supported the natives' conversion to Christianity. It is alleged that Thorpe was warned of the attack an hour before by a Christian native servant, but refused to escape due to his faith that the natives would not attack. Another notable death was Captain Nathaniel Powell, who was among the first colonists in 1607. So Captain Powell, 15 years of surviving some of the worst in Jamestown, killed in the 1622 massacre. John Gibbs, a member of the House of Burgesses, was also killed. John Ralph, the colonist who first brought tobacco to the colonies and was the husband of Pocahontas, was also among the dead. In total, 6 members of the council, including Ralph, Powell, and Thorpe, were killed. William Powell, another House of Burgesses member, was killed in a retaliatory fight. In what would today likely be considered unbelievably offensive, John Smith in his writings indicate that the massacre may have been, quote, good for the plantation because it gave just cause to clear out the native population. But he later added that he would have preferred the event not occurred. Well, I don't think a lot of people would have preferred that event occur. The incident led to the closures of several outpost colonies, like Henrico, and a consolidation of the colony closer to Jamestown to make its defense easier. So these people had been spreading out, and as a result of this massacre, Jamestown essentially begins to urbanize and get a little crowded. While Captain Smith believed the massacre and subsequent retaliatory attacks by the colonists in 1622 created an inseparable hostility between the two groups, evidence shows that that may have not been the case. Keep in mind that these two groups had been increasingly dependent upon each other for trade over the past 15 years, and that the desire to trade between the colonists and the natives continued on despite hostilities. Henry Spellman, remember him? Our first exchange student, later turned indentured servant, ends up becoming appointed to renew relations with the Powhatan natives. Sadly, Spellman is killed in March of 1623 with 19 other men during a trade expedition. While many may think the attack would unite the colony, it actually seemed to have done quite the opposite. The minutes of the quarter courts from the early 1620s are full of disputes and letters from Governor Wyatt indicating a great degree of fighting over land, livestock, and goods. And some of this may have been because people began to consolidate back together. Furthermore, the massacre created financial losses between counterparties in both Virginia and the company in England. In July 1623, King James wrote to the archbishops of Canterbury and York, requesting that they fundraise in their churches for the purposes of spreading Christianity to Jamestown. With financial ruin imminent, the Virginia Company descended into fighting and bickering, with various shareholders constantly arguing over land and their rights. So the massacre created greater division amongst the Jamestown colonists and the Virginia Company. These problems would drive the Virginia Company to the brink of failure. But, and this is a question that has been asked quite a bit in our modern era, would the English government be there to bail them out? We'll find out next time on Historical Context.